All right, we are live.
Hour 5:30 has arrived. We're going to start our Finance and Personnel Committee meeting for Monday, August the 12th. First, we'll have roll call.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder Davis,
Aye.
Alder Land,
Hi.
Alder McCarthy,
I mean, here.
Alder Sebastian.
Here.
That completes roll call.
Next, we have the approval of the minutes for the July 8th, 2024 meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Yeah, it's been motion and second, the approval of the July 8th, 2024 meeting. Now we're gonna, before we start here,
Was that Land or who?
Who approved Dave, Land approved David second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes?
Abstain.
Right, so tonight we're gonna start our finance meeting. We're gonna have a change of order of business. We're gonna call a couple items before we start with our first item.
Perfect. Item number 0678-24, which is on page 3 of the agenda, is being moved up first. Communication sponsored by Alder Horton on behalf of the Chief of Police requesting permission to accept the Mayor's Gain Collaborative Grant number 00569. Staff recommendation that the Chief of Police be granted permission to accept the Mayor's Gain Collaborative Grant number 00569. Fiscal note grant of $62,500. There is no city match. Chief Ramirez is here to speak on the item.
Good evening. First of all, thank you for taking, I made a suggestion and it's heard, so I do appreciate it. Mayor, committee members, thank you. This grant is an ongoing grant. It's the Mayor's Gain Collaborative Grant. It's been something with the department at least 3 years. That's long. I've been here at least 3 years. It's gone on longer than that. This grant is essentially helped our youth, at-risk youth, to not go into gangs. We usually serving somewhere around 14 to 15 young men and women. This is the grant that's been awarded. It's a little less than it was last year, about 900. I don't know why the difference is there, but we also had, it also helps us with the receiving vocational ministry. These are the adults that come out of the prison system that we help them affiliate back into our society.
Anything from the committee? Right, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Yeah, it's been moved and properly second. Item number 06.
Gotta vote.
Oh, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Motion carries.
Item number 0679-24, communication sponsored by Alder Horton on behalf of the Chief of Police requesting permission to purchase Canine Blue, a 12-month-old Belgian Malin, that registered with the American Kennel Club. Staff recommendation that the Chief of Police be granted permission to purchase Canine Blue, a 12-month-old, registered with the American Kennel Club.
The French for dog.
Obviously not French. Fiscal note, $9,500 available through RPD Canine donation account number 20622-48500-31002. No city match.
Again, thank you for allowing us to go ahead of everybody else. Mayor and committee members, I have Deputy Chief Chad Melby here, who will speak about the K9.
Thank you. I'll keep it really short and then answer any questions you guys have. Over the last decade, we've consistently ran with about 5 K9 teams with the police department. Due to retirements this spring and somewhere down to 3. We would like to accept these donations to be able to purchase this particular dog, just because he's an explosive detector / gun dog, really useful for locating firearms and casings. And we just started that program in 2019 and have seen how useful it is. So that's the type of dog direction we have to go. And this, these funds could be completely secured through donations from the public that we already have. So city's attorney's office has drafted up a contract and everything is in order as it usually is with these dogs.
Any discussion?
Who's gonna be the handler?
It is most likely going to be an officer from, Early Power, Zach Kuiper. Yeah. That's always very sought after. Always a touchy subject.
Any other discussion? Right. I entertain a motion.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carries.
Really.
The name is negotiable.
I should have learned more from the Olympics, apparently. Item number 0683-24, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason requesting authorization of a resolution of official intent to issue general obligation bonds, notes, or other debt instruments in support of the Lincoln King Community Center and Clinic project. And also authorization to negotiate and execute a master development agreement with Lincoln King Community Center Development Partners LLC for the development and construction of Lincoln King Community Center Clinic project. Staff recommendation that the resolution of official intent be adopted and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to negotiate and execute a master development agreement with Lincoln King Community Center Development Partner LLC for the development and construction of Lincoln King Community Center Clinic project. Fiscal note, total project cost is projected to be $68 million. Project cost will be funded with grant funds from the state and federal government, new market tax credit equity, private donations, energy credits and rebates, and local funding. 70% of the funding is fully available, and bridge funding in the form of a city-issued debt instrument up to $21 million will be required in advance of the availability of energy credits, private donations, and federal and state grants still in the application status. Final debt issuance and amounts will come back to the Common Council for final authorization in Q4 2024 or Q1 2025 as the capital stack is finalized. With permission, we will start off tonight with Mayor Mason as a brief introduction and then move on to a larger presentation. Let me just get set. Yes, please.
While she is doing that, I just am very excited to be here tonight. This is the efforts of 4 years of work at least to do some really important things. So first of all, this is a recommitment on behalf of the city to its community centers and building a state-of-the-art brand new King Center just a couple hundred feet from where the current King Center exists. And it puts in place a much needed health clinic. We are the largest community in the Midwest without a federally funded clinic. And it addresses some of the disparities that exist. Part of the motivation of this, obviously, just some of the statistics that are out there that ranks this community as one of the worst communities in the country for African Americans. One of those outcomes are around healthcare, and so to be able to provide this, it's critically important. But it's also just as important to hear the enthusiasm that we have heard from so many community members about having a new community center and what that would mean, and to place that right next to Julian Thomas School. And really have the school and the community center and the health clinic be more than the sum of their parts. We have engaged the public for more than a year on this, taken input from thousands of people. You're going to hear from a great cast of characters tonight, from city staff and architects and builders and community engagement specialists about what this project is. We are so excited about it, and if we move forward with it, we will see ourselves breaking ground on it this fall. So very exciting project. Much thanks to all the people who've been part of putting this together. We have a project team that'll be here tonight. Cassie Goodwin and Cody Sandberg, who are the architects of the group. Ryan Lent, who's been our builders rep. Kimberly Payne, who did a fantastic job leading the effort on community outreach. It's really a lot of community meetings, a lot of great input, everything from fourth graders drawing pictures to town hall meetings. It's been great. And then Jake Pepper, who I think I saw, is here, and they'll do the construction of the actual project. So really excited. We wanted to start tonight by showing you a video that Smith Group prepared just to give you an overview of what this project looks like. This is the last thing I'll say about it. We're so great job, by the way, for Spencer for putting that together and the design together. Thank you very much. We're able to do this in part because of the historic investments that have been made at the federal level with the American Rescue Plan dollars, with the Inflation Reduction Act and their energy tax credits, with new market tax credits, with some congressionally directed spending that we've received from Senator Baldwin's office, and a lot of really hard work from a lot of people who helped raise money towards this project. We just want to acknowledge what a unique place it is to be able to do something that'll have an impact to come out of the pandemic and put forward a recovery, not just for the short term, but something that'll last for decades and for the generations to come for the community. So with that, I will stop talking and hand it back over to the chair and ask the park staff to come on up.
So I don't know, I've seen that video a few times now, and every time I see it, it's an awesome thing, and it gets me excited because, you know, getting to recreation was something I did when I was a kid, grew up in the community centers, going through the programs here at Park and Rec, and the centers are still here, and now we have an opportunity to bring a new one and provide all new programming and just great opportunities for the neighborhood and the community. It's great. So good evening. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you tonight. The current MLK Community Center was and is home to many of the neighborhood kids, families, and seniors. Through the years, the center has been the heart of that neighborhood and providing memories for years and years to come, and they will never be forgotten. Now we have this opportunity in front of us to create the state-of-the-art facility in the same neighborhood for generations to come, with all the bells and whistles. You're going to see more of that. The facility will give today's kids and their families improved opportunities through programs and through facility space that this facility will provide. We know that the Lincoln King neighborhood is home to many Latino and African American residents. Staff will make sure that programs and program opportunities are available for everyone and that everyone will feel welcome. The city will work to bring in bilingual individuals through employment and through partnerships and provide information in both English and Spanish. From day one, the Park and Rec Department staff, myself, Jason Mars, and Trey Allen and his community center staff have been at the table giving input, suggestions along the way for this community center. It was important that visually that the community center fit the neighborhood, that it basically made the individuals welcome when they entered the facility. It was important for us to make sure that they feel welcome. It will provide great technology to fit the needs of the kids and families, and it will require space, not just for programming, but it will also create space for gatherings that we'll have at the community centers. Residents from youth to seniors and key community figures have been given a chance to be a part of the design, plans, and program ideas through scheduled community sessions that were done by Payne Associates. Today, you will get a chance to see firsthand some of this right now, what you see now and going forward, what came out of those staff and community center sessions through videos and slides. You will see an eye-opening corridor that will act as a gathering place and a gateway to the rest of the facility. Wait till you see it, it's huge. Technology and communication needs. The arts and crafts room, a brand new gaming room, and a teen room for those kids that are always trying to figure out what to do with these teens. They'll have the actual room for themselves. A full kitchen. Now we can have programs, we can have rentals, and we can actually provide center events with not having a problem with working out of the things that we have at the current community center. A large gym, you'll see a huge large gym. It's right there. It's way bigger than what we have. It'll have program opportunities and just different things that we'll be able to bring to the community. They'll have a workout and weight room area and an indoor running and walking track. How exciting is that? You don't have to walk around in the gym and worry about quality. Just so you know, I think the benefits are endless with this new community center. And I'm looking forward to how this all works out and seeing the finished product. To continue, I'm going to hand things over to Trey. He's the community center director at the MLK Community Center. So thank you for my time and I'll pass it over to Trey. Good job.
All right, my name is Trey Allen. I'm the director at the current community center. I'm gonna be kind of brief. As you'll see, as you heard from Tom and as you see throughout the day, it's a lot of things to get excited about the whole project. I really want to talk about my experience, me personally, growing up being a community center kid. I was a Tyler Domer King Center kid growing up. Met a lot of people there, a lot of adults that influenced me, a lot of kids, peers. It's almost like a school. Schools are important, community centers are important. It's a great gathering place for kids. Kids can come be themselves. Adults can be themselves. Adults can bring children up under their wings. That's one of the things I learned from it. I still reach out to a lot of the staff that was at the centers when I was there. I get kids all the time now come talk to me about personal things that they can't talk to other people about. So I think community center is a very important piece to have in the city, particularly in this neighborhood. As he spoke about the Latino and African-American families in that area, we do serve a lot. They love being at the community center. With this new one, I can tell you, I promise you, they will love being at this new one. I've been coaching basketball for 15 years, and just in excitement when we go to different schools and recreation places, the adults get excited about it. Our kids, like, man, I wish we had this. So just the excitement that I think it'll bring to the, not just the neighborhood, but to the city, I think will be huge. A lot of people think King Center is a neighborhood community center. It is, but it isn't. In the morning for our pickleball time, we have seniors coming from Lake Geneva, Burlington, Milwaukee. They're not all from Racine. In our afternoon, we have soccer teams practicing. We have kids from the other side of town. Our adult open recreation, we have people from all over town. It's not just a north side community center. But just a long story short, I grew up in the community centers. I was a playground leader. My first job, when I got out of college, I interned with Park and Rec. I went to Unified for a couple of years. This opportunity came back. I had to do it. Growing up, I wanted to be a sports agent. That was one of the jobs I wanted to do, a sports agent. I wanted to coach. I said I was going to be an NBA coach someday. And obviously, recreation. Just Tom was director at Tyler Domer when I was a kid, so I looked up to him. I thought the position that he had was cool. Play all day, have fun with kids. Cool wasn't too bad at it. Hey, so I feel this is a perfect position for me. I'm a people person. I love kids. I love people. So I'm hoping that this is something important to everyone in here, and hope we get it over with. Thanks.
So the next speaker I have in front of me would be Dottie K. Bowers, City Public Health Administrator. Hey.
Thank you and good afternoon. I have to concur with Tom. Every time I see the video, every time I'm here or we have a chance to talk about this project, I just feel overwhelmed. So happy, delighted, and I just, think half the time I want to tear up and go, oh my God. So we're finally here and we're talking about this. My responsibilities within this project had to do with the public health department and a federally qualified healthcare center. So with that, we're going to take a look at this slide. We're going to talk first and foremost about the foundation of healthcare in the city of Pursuit. We do have a primary care shortage. Currently, we have 5,644 patients for every single provider in the city of Racine. Enormous amount. So at the same point, our goal is one provider for every 2,000 patients. We have a huge gap. We have a lack of medical care providers. When we talk about medical care, we can also talk about dental care. Dental care is even worse for the city of Racine. There's 9,929 Racinians for every provider. The goal is 3,000 Racinians for every provider. So another huge gap that we have there. So we have a gap in medical, we have a gap in dental, and we also have a gap in mental health. 40% of Racinians state that mental health is their top priority. 26% that substance abuse and alcoholism is a top priority. 16% of Racinians have an unmet mental health care need. 36 report an inability to get an appointment. 23% report inability to pay for that appointment. 28% of Racinians say that they are suffering from a mental health condition that has been diagnosed and or treated, and 8% of us are saying that they're always or nearly always feeling sad, blue, or depressed. So when we look at the foundation for this health center, we're looking at mental, we're looking at dental, and we're looking at medical. Three-pronged approach. The other side of the slide here, we're looking at statistics of the city. Medicaid rate is 31%, the state is 18%. Infant mortality, second highest in Wisconsin from 1990 to 2022. It is 2.8 times higher for the death of an African-American infant than a white or Caucasian infant. Opiate overdose rate, 37.9 deaths per 100,000 were higher than the county and were higher than the state. And the top causes of death in the city of Racine: cancer, heart disease, and accidental deaths. So I can go on and on with statistics, but again, we've got shortages with medical, with dental, and with mental health. Currently, there are 23,500 Medicaid eligible residents here in Racine. There's also 11,000 Medicare eligible. There's also 7,700 individuals that are underinsured or have no insurance. That brings a total to 36,600 individuals that fall within these categories, which is almost half of the population of the city of Racine. City of Racine is a little over 76,000 individuals. So between Medicare, Medicaid, uninsured, and underinsured, almost half the population of the city of Racine falls into one of those categories. When we take a look at the location, we have high visibility and accessibility within the Lincoln King neighborhood, as Tom already discussed. One of the most distressed areas in the state of Wisconsin. So the distress index goes to 100. This area is at 97. So again, a distressed area at the Lincoln King neighborhood. Again, racially, ethnically diverse, 27% African American, 27% Hispanic. Higher rates of unemployment and poverty. 45% of the individuals who live in this community area live below the poverty level. Lower rates of home ownership, 45 to 54% are rentals. They don't own their own home, they rent. And there's also lower median household income. The location opportunities for partnerships, Pillar Health in Racine is going to be the FQHC that we're recommending for this facility. Racine Unified School Districts, including the Julian Thomas Elementary School. The elementary school has approximately 500 students. 90% of them live in poverty. And obviously the Public Health Department and obviously Park and Rec. I've mentioned FQHC. Next slide. I mentioned, thank you. I mentioned the FQHC. Federally Qualified Healthcare Center. I know we've talked about this option and this opportunity for many years. Pillar Health of Racine is the FQHC. They provide integrated medical, dental, and behavioral health, mental health that we've talked about. Those are our shortage areas. Those are the areas that we need. They serve in a team health home model, which I'll talk about that in just a minute, across southeastern Wisconsin. So that's Kenosha, that's Racine, and Walworth counties. The parent company is Kenosha Community Health Center. They've been in business for approximately 29 years, and they currently are serving over 1,000 Racinians. The Pillar Health model practices patients and families at the center of care, and again, I'll talk about that in a moment, with adult and pediatric care. So as we go through this presentation, you'll see on the layouts of the different sections of the new building, the one in particular that has to do with the health center with Pillar Health. What we've done with the design of this so that we make sure that we get medical, we get dental, and we get mental health is that when you come in the front door, IDK, you'll be assessed. And during that assessment, they're going to find out when was the last time you saw a dentist? When was the last time you came in for your physical examination? When was the last time you got to talk to a mental health professional about whatever problem is curling your hair this week? So as you come in, you will be assessed. It's laid out, so again, you've got the mental health, you've got the dental, you've got the medical. In the middle, instead of having individual offices for the doctor or the dentist or whomever, we have tables. And those tables, the individuals, whether they be your therapist or they be your hygienist or they be your nurse practitioner, your doctor, your physician, they're going to come together and they're going to talk about IDK collectively. So she's gonna be here on Tuesday to do this, and then Tuesday afternoon, she's gonna do this, and then on Wednesday, she's gonna do this, or however. But we're looking at a holistic team approach to the health and well-being of the citizens that we're seeing that utilize this facility. Committed to providing affordable health care, accepts Medicaid, Medicare, private commercial marketplace, and they have a sliding fee discount. Really important that they're an FQHC. As part of the advantage of that, they get higher reimbursement rates for Medicaid. So the state of Wisconsin is one of the worst states in the country for Medicaid reimbursement. So if you're Ascension or your Advocates, your Freighters, you may get $30 for a service. But within the framework of Pillar Health, they may get $40 for that service because they get enhanced reimbursement. So sustainability of their projects, their endeavors is much greater than Ascension or Freighter or Warwick again. So it's really, I mean, and then plus the fact with an FQHC, hiring practices as well as reimbursement, training and education opportunities for staff. So they've got good package that they can provide their employees. So, and then also they have bilingual staff to better serve the Hispanic community, as I've mentioned, the high rate of Hispanic and high rate of African American within that community. So, but at the same point, yeah, we're just real excited about this. Delighted to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. And thank you so much.
Okay. At this time, you have the committee come up.
Hi, I'm Kathy Goodwin. I'm a senior principal with Smith Group. We're the architecture and engineering firm that's been leading the design.
Good evening, I'm Cody Sandberg. I'm an architect and design principal.
So I really appreciate your time tonight. We're excited to talk a little bit more about the building. So you've heard from the partners that we've been working with over the last couple of years. It's been really great to work really closely with Dottie Kay and her team, and Jason and Trey and Tom, their team, to really get all the information we need to make this a really great project. So you can kind of see here, this is a little bit of a diagram here. I'm looking at moving the program over from the existing King Center, just 1 block away. So it'll be very still centrally located for people who are currently utilizing the King Center. And then we are looking at the city looking at relocating that public health department facilities, which are currently here in City Hall, to this new facility, as well as that federally qualified health center that Dottie Kay was just talking about. And this is really designed as a vision to provide holistic services, and also the adjacency to Julian Thomas School with the community school model. It's really intentional. The location is perfect that the city owned this property, but looking at kind of bringing all of these things together into this really new state-of-the-art facility was very intentional, and we think will be extremely beneficial to have kind of co-housed in one building. Go to the next slide. So you can kind of get here a sense of the scale of the building and how it will situate in the neighborhood. The design team took a lot of care to look at the scale and the massing of the existing Julian Thomas building while still fitting all the program that we needed into a fairly small site. As you can see, the main feature outside of the building, which we'll get into more in a minute, is we have this nice green space that will be connecting the school to the community center. And the intention there is actually to close a portion of West Street down to allow for this kind of campus-like feel. So students who are coming from the school will actually just be able to walk right across this green to the community center for after school and for other types of services, and back and forth. So this idea of kind of really creating this campus was very intentional, of a strong vision of the mayor and the design team. The other thing you'll see about this building from this angle is there's a tremendous amount of sustainability components that we've built into it, which we'll talk about in another minute here. But from this angle, you can see that that rooftop is pretty much maximized with solar canopy, solar panels, which will allow for this building to be extremely energy efficient. In fact, we're looking to target a net zero energy building. So essentially it means that over a year, there's an equal amount of electricity that's generated from the solar, as well as other energy reducing methods. So that there's essentially a zero cost, right, to operate this building from the standpoint of electricity. In fact, it actually could, in some cases, generate more electricity than it needs and put it back on the grid. Let me go to the next slide.
And on this slide here, what you see on the left is a Venn diagram, essentially showing diagrammatically the 4 public entities coming together to provide shared resources and shared support. So Julian Thomas, the King Center, the Federally Qualified Health Center, and the Public Health Department. And when we were envisioning all these entities coming together, what we were really excited about and working with many of you in this room was creating a hub for holistic well-being, a center that provides resources and support for mental, emotional, social, and physical well-being. And if you think about all the different programs and services these entities provide, it really has a holistic approach to well-being. And so when we think about how each of these entities are situated on the site, that diagram on the right suggests how these really work together to treat the entire person. And in the middle, that yellow sticky space, the middle of it, we really envision that to be the soul of the building. And as we were working with Trey and his team and Kimberly Payne and the community, what really resonated with the importance of celebrating Dr. King, his life, his legacy, the King Center, its celebrations, its achievements, and really centering around Dr. King's vision of a beloved community. So you'll see in some upcoming renderings how the heart of the building is really all about celebrating the life and the legacy of Dr. King and the King Center and the city of Gracie.
So looking at an aerial view now, straight down. Yeah, but
Close those blinds, it's kind of, often can't see.
oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
That's way better.
So looking at the kind of aerial view, you can see here, Julian Thomas is to the south. The existing King Center is 1 block to the north, just off the screen. And this is the existing lot that the city owns. You can see the footprint of the building is there in white. What you'll see here is we've added parking just along the western and a little bit on the northern side. That parking lot will serve both all of the functions of the building. We also have a drop off and accessible parking at the very north side of the building for that community health center. We are looking at adding 1 outdoor basketball court that can also serve as outdoor pickleball. And then that green space to the south will have service as a plaza space for kind of gathering for the hot summer nights events, which I know recently took place there in the summer. And then other types of functions that can occur within that green space. The parking, it does have, it's proposed, you can see the kind of a white shading over it. You'll see the image. We are showing actually a multifunctional parking lot. And so it's not just a place to put your cars. This is kind of 21st century parking lot. And what I mean by that is we have a solar canopy that covers that parking lot to get additional solar function for the building, as well as stormwater treatment and stormwater management below the parking lot. So it's actually multifunctional. And then below the stormwater, we have geothermal. So there's a lot going on in that space that looks like it's just for cars, but will also provide a lot of great access for community members.
And one more thing I want to add on the slide is we do have some dedicated entries. So on the northeast, there is a vehicular drop-off, and that entry is dedicated for the Public Health Department and the Integrated Health Clinic. And the entry on the southeast is dedicated for the King Center. So it's a primary thoroughfare that connects all the way through. We thought it was really important to have identity and branding for these entities distinctly on the exterior and also provide ease of access, particularly a drop-off within the center.
And this is just a slide. This is going to be received first net zero building. It'll be probably one of the first of its kind actually in the state of Wisconsin as well, with some of the things that we mentioned before, those photovoltaic canopies. We're also proposing to do quite a bit of site treatment, including renewable pavement, storage underground for stormwater, and looking at some areas of fire retention or basically bioswales. We also are looking at, and where we have areas where we can capture roof water, we're actually looking at capturing the roof water and taking that water and treating that, holding that in a cistern and then using it for the toilet flushing. So we're actually looking at also saving water.
So here on the southeast entry, this is that dedicated entry for the King Center here. You can see first and foremost that glass corner, that's a stair going up to the second floor. And you can really see the scale and proportion of proposing a 2-story building, the materiality and the design of the exterior. It was really important that it be contextual, Julian Thomas in particular, but fit well within the community, but also create a new sense of aspiration and hope and innovation as well. On the next slide, thank you. So when students walk out of Julian Thomas and head north, this is what they'll see. They'll cross this event lawn. And one of the things that we heard that was so important to the students and the community was a space for soccer. So you can envision soccer games on this lawn or concerts or movies. And what's really cool is right in front of you, those 4 doors, that's actually the community kitchen. So the community kitchen actually spills out to an outdoor space. So you can envision outdoor dining, indoor-outdoor sessions, events, and up above it is a covered roof deck. So even when it's raining, individuals can be outside. And that was really important to us to create a strong sense of an indoor-outdoor relationship, a real porosity of the building. And that's really part of the well-being component, ensuring individuals have access to daylight and views, and also they can go indoors and outdoors very fluidly. On the next slide here's the floor plan. I apologize, it's really hard. You'll have to squint to see all these little words. But a few of the features I wanted to touch base on. We are envisioning a 2-story building. The health center on the north side, as I mentioned, with its dedicated drop off. And to the south of it, that really big rectangle space, that's the gymnasium. And Tom touched on it a minute, but this gymnasium is 45% bigger than the existing gymnasium in the teen center. And that'll allow tournaments, they'll allow a lot more opportunities to host for programming. It has shower rooms, locker rooms, a concession, office area, and a couple other of the key features on this first floor. The thing that I think the teams were most excited about was an esports computer lab that could also function as a computer lab that people like me could use during the day just to get on the internet. But a space that's really versatile, and that was really important that we create a space that not only meets the needs and expectations today, but it can easily flex and adapt over time to accommodate changing needs. There is a book house, Miss Kim's Book House, an early education environment with arts and crafts, and a teen lounge dedicated on that first floor. On the second floor, wrapping around the gymnasium is the walking track. So the walking track actually looks down over the courts. Also up there is a bouldering wall, which is essentially, rock climbing, but a single-story rock climbing space. An open studio for cardio, weightlifting, training, exercise, and then a line of multi-purpose rooms along MLK Drive there that are highly flexible, can be opened up to change sizes. A fitness studio. There's also a business center. That was something else we heard that was really important for the community, a place that can print and check my email and write a resume, and also a very large community room in the far north corner. Now, on the next slide, we'll start to get on the interior and show you what these spaces feel like. Here, we just stepped inside the community health center, and design-wise, what was really important to us is to create a space that destigmatizes the healthcare experience. So a space that feels very warm and welcoming, access to daylight and views, etc. Here you see, as I mentioned, the soul of the building. One of the things we heard resoundingly was, let's celebrate Dr. King. This is not a building with just his name on it, but let's emphatically celebrate Dr. King. So what you see here in this atrium that connects both the north and the south entry, it's a double height space. We have this double height feature wall here, really celebrating the possibility of putting Dr. King's portraiture live. This is on the opposite side of the gym, on the first floor on the left, and on the second floor on the right. You can see how the walking track wraps around it. Incredibly dynamic and energizing space that can also act as a living room for the community. Here's that gymnasium here. I just want to point out a couple of features. As I mentioned, it is larger, but you can see the walking track wrapping around, and up to the left, you can see that open area for cardio, weightlifting, etc. All very visually connected. You can see daylight penetrating through. We have skylights, a space that's highly versatile and very activated. And on the next slide here's that community kitchen. So you can see how it's spilling out to the plaza with those big open doors. This offers space and opportunity for cooking demonstration, classes, rentals, concessions, etc. And adjacent to the space, there is a large catering kitchen as well. So large-scale food prep could be accommodated as well for events. And here's a view in the southwest. So through that glassy corner, that's the bouldering wall right inside there. So that's a feature that's really on display. You can see the outdoor courts here to the left. As Cassie mentioned, basketball could also be pickleball. And you can also get a sense to the right there, that open deck overlooking the south lawn and the opportunity to really be indoors and outdoors in this facility. And last but, oh no, this is not the last, this is another exterior image. One of the things that was incredibly important to us is to create a space that evokes hope. A space that really provides, resource-rich amenities, opportunities, programming, a space that really empowers, but also a space that feels like a home away from home. So we really tried to create this glowing beacon that's very welcoming and inviting to the community. And the last image on the next slide is an image that really you can understand the essence, the soul of this building extending out to the outdoors as well. It's not something you just discover once you're inside the building, but really celebrating the life and the legacy of Dr. King and his beloved community, even on the exterior of the building.
Oh, I would. Nate Spear, with the paint consultant, with Kimberly Painted and team.
Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity to present. Megan is coming around with the handout that's on the screen, so you'll be able to see it a little bit better. I will get started while it's going around. Again, my name is Dr. Kimberly Payne. I'm co-owner of Payne Consulting. We're located right here in Racine, actually down the street. People often see me and my husband, but we're supported by a team of about 30 local consultants who work on a variety of projects, including this Lincoln King project. We're honored and blessed to be part of the project, serving as a community engagement partner for the project. We've been engaged with the project since November of 2022 until now, present. And we launched into the community engagement efforts with several goals in mind. One of them being to increase community member knowledge of the Lincoln King project. The project was brand new. There hadn't been a lot of public input sessions or opportunities to engage community members. So we wanted to make sure we got the word out about what exactly the project was and what it meant in terms of moving forward with a new facility for the neighborhood. We also wanted to build opportunities to learn the aspirations, ideas, and concerns of community members. So every session or every activity that we held, there was a chance for people to learn more about the project, but also an opportunity for them to give input on various parts of the project, including design elements, ask questions, talk about what was important to them in terms of programming and services. And then lastly, one of our goals was to amplify community and stakeholder voice so that the city of Racine and other partners on this project could be positioned to create a community-informed facility, really keeping top of mind what was important to community members who would ultimately be the users of the facility. The piece that you have in your hand is on the screen too, but this is what we're calling Lincoln King by the numbers. And this represents the number of community members who engaged in our various activities over the course of almost 2 years now. And so I want to highlight a few of the activities which are listed on the backside. Let's see the backside, there's a full list of activities here. Again, I want to give a shout out to our team. A few of our team members are here tonight. We do have a diverse, multilingual team that is from Racine and really, really passionate about our community. And that makes a difference in going out and doing any type of community engagement or getting public input on projects. One of the things that we've done from day one was ensure equity on all of our community engagement activities. Our materials are printed in English and Spanish. We also have a translation team that's part of every activity that we do, just to ensure that all City of Racine residents, regardless of language, have an opportunity to engage equally in the activities. And so you'll see on the front of the by the numbers document, again, we engaged 5,898 community members. The backside, there's a list of the different activities that were available. I'm just gonna pick a few from the list, just because I know we have a limited amount of time. We were able to pull together so much data that it would basically be impossible for me to touch on every single data point and all that we learned along the course of the way. One that I'll highlight is a Black History Month art activity. The mayor referenced it. We called it Dr. King Dreaming Art Activity. And so we basically provided a canvas and crayons to students at Julian Thomas and also youth who were at the King Center. And we asked them to draw their design for the King Center. And we got a ton of feedback from them, including nail salons, soccer fields. I mean, they drew any and everything as their vision of what they would like to see in the community center. Also important to them was sunlight, gardens, playgrounds, Pikachu, if you're familiar with video games, rainbows, poster makers, butterflies, love. So they gave us a lot of input in that activity. And again, there were 160 young people who submitted submissions for the art design. The other one that I'll highlight, We did 3 surveys during the course of the past 2 years. Those surveys yielded 535 respondents. One of the surveys was specifically about the King Center. And from the King Center survey, we were pretty pleased with this. 87% of the respondents for that survey lived in the city of Racine. Race and ethnicity breakdown, it was 21% white respondents, 58% Black or African American, and 11.31% Hispanic and Latino. The largest categories of ages that responded to that survey were 35 to 44 years old and 45 to 54 years old. And some of what they listed as the programs and services that were the most important to them were financial literacy, smart technology, a music studio, an arts and crafts room, and outdoor green space, which you saw represented in the designs that were on the screen. So I have several other data points that I can highlight, but I'm going to keep moving. The next one that I'll highlight is not on that screen. If you can go back. Okay. There's a poster here that looks just like this too, but this is our, we asked, you told us, and we listened visual. And this visual basically highlights what the community told us and how their input influenced the design that you just saw on the screen with Cassie and Cody's presentation. And so one of the questions that we asked community members was, how can Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. be honored at the new King Center? And you heard all the walls, the images, the quotes, all of those pieces came directly from community members who said it's equally important for us to honor his legacy, but also the legacy of people who came before all of us and were instrumental in building out the first community centers in Racine. And so the basics of it, we listened. The design will prominently feature Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his legacy throughout the building with elements including a legacy wall, picture stories, and memorabilia. One of the other questions we ask is what is important to include in the new King Center and Health Clinic? And that's captured on the right side of the screen. It's kind of hard to see, but what we heard was natural light, outdoor meeting space, a community kitchen, a welcoming environment, more parking, always more parking, so, basketball courts and esports game rooms. And so that is captured as well in the new design. And so I won't go to that slide yet, but fast forwarding to the open house that we just held on August 2nd, thank you. The open house was an opportunity for neighborhood residents as well as community members from all over Racine to come and get project updates. They had a chance to see the boards that were here. They had a chance to engage with team members who walked them through the boards, went through a variety of activities with them, including the one that you see on the screen. We asked 2 questions on these large poster boards. One of them was share 1 word to describe how you feel about the new King Center and Health Clinic. And you see some of the post-it notes. The responses included great, fabulous, excited, good, excellent, impressed, confident, important, big, nice, amazing, excited, optimistic, amused, beautiful design, hopeful, cool, great idea, prosperity, and needed. The other question that we asked was, what questions do you still have about the new King Center and the new health clinic? Parking, that came up several times on the post-it notes. More open gym hours, mental health providers, air conditioning. Will there be a lot of space? How will the health clinic work? Will there be a charge to enter? Will Tony be there? That's my boy. That's crazy. Somebody actually, you gotta keep Tony on that. Will there be a charge? When does it open? Will a nurse be there every day? Will it create job and volunteer opportunities? Will Narcan be provided? Will contraceptives be provided? And where are the splash pads in the plan? So that was on here as well. So the other opportunities at the open house, we also had City of Racine departments with resource tables set up. Parks and Rec had a table, public health, community safety, human resources, Grow Racine. And so there was a chance for people to pick up information. And then also Mayor Mason was there the whole time. And so people had a chance to go up and ask questions directly of him to get information about the project. And so now I'm gonna go to the sentiment analysis slide.
That one.
Yeah, that one, thank you. And so the data that you're looking at is from the 535 survey respondents. We did an analysis to really look at the type of sentiment that has been expressed by community members about the project. And you can see on there that 91% of the 535 respondents expressed positivity towards the new King Center. 87% believe the new King Center is important for them and their families. That was a consistent question on all of our surveys. How important is it to you and your family and why? And then 84% indicated that they regularly use the current King Center programs and services. And then there are a couple of pull quotes on the slide, on the side from the community conversations that we held. Great effort of bridging the gap between community and residents. And the other one is the city wants to give the community something new and improved. So I will be around at the end as well. We did so much that it's almost impossible to capture all the data points in a brief presentation, but we're happy to share more, answer any questions that you have about the other efforts that we engaged in. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Right, then we have our finance director.
Thank you to everyone who has presented already. What a great job by everyone showing really the true story of where this all started. I'm just gonna back up a little bit and get more into the nuts and bolts of both the financing as well as the future of the project itself and some of the approvals that have come before now. So just as a reminder, in November of 2021, the council did the first allocation of our direct ARPA dollars to a Lincoln King Clinic project that was authorized by the Common Council and set aside by the Common Council at that time, is included in all of our program reporting to the Treasury and an approved program under our Treasury direct ARPA funds. Then in early 2022, the city of Racine applied to the state of Wisconsin for a healthcare infrastructure grant. The city then accepted that grant on April 7th of 2022 through council action. The item number is actually there through council action. That was a $20 million grant that was awarded to the city of Racine for the construction of a healthcare clinic at the Lincoln King site. It was specifically written for the site that you all saw today and the programming associated with it as you saw today. So that was one of the very first actions. From there were multiple actions by the Common Council. September of 2022, the Common Council authorized the professional services agreement with Smith Group associated with the design and engineering. You'll see tonight, actually, Smith Group was kind enough to bring the actual completed construction plans. You can see how big they are. There was a lot that went into it, and Smith Group and all of the team did such a great job with that, creating that. Then into later in September of 2022, we had an official notice that went out on the street through our partners at Concord for a formal request for qualifications for a construction manager. We entered then into an exclusive agreement with Pepper Construction as the construction manager and started our relationship with Pepper Construction. In May of 2023, we gave an update to the Common Council. I believe that was Administrator Vornholt gave that update to the Common Council and an authorization to extend our contract with Concord Group as the project manager for the project. And then today we'll be talking about the bond authorization and authorization to execute a development agreement with Lincoln King Community Partners. In between all of that, the city team has been working diligently to find sponsors for the project, write grants for the project. Every single one of us involved in that entire process. The IT department is writing grants. Everyone is trying to do their best to get this project to the finish line. And you'll see tonight that we are there. We are ready to grow. The plans are ready, and we are super excited to bring it forward. Next slide, Pam. Thank you. A little bit of an overview of the project budget. This is obviously rounded numbers. We do have very specific numbers, but rounded numbers just to give a visualization of the types of costs associated with the project. So you're seeing here that the total project, community center, as well as clinic, one building, $68 million. Construction of that is $57 million. Furniture and fixtures will come later in the project at $4 million. Design and outreach, that would be mostly Smith Group and Payne Consulting, and then the administrative and soft costs associated with it for a total of $68 million. Go next slide. The funds expended so far by the city of Racine as authorized by the Common Council, a total of $4.1 million. Most of that relating to design and outreach services, again, the drawing of the plans, the final construction plans in front of you, that is the majority of that. There's also soft costs for project management. We had to do environmentals, state approvals are included in there. So we are well on our way in terms of having this project absolutely shovel ready. Thanks, Pam. So how are we funding this $68 million project? So there's several major funding sources associated with this project. First and foremost, on the left in the red box would be our ARPA grant from the state of Wisconsin that was allocated back in 2022. That's a $20 million grant. We'll be using $18 million of city direct ARPA funding, $18 million of that. We got a federal earmark from the a congressional earmark of $2 million. We actually have that on hand right now. We will be entering into some partners under the new market tax credit space for about $7 million of equity in the project. And then we are requesting bridge funding in a taxable bond of some sort in the amount up to $21 million, which is what we will talk about a little bit tonight. Now, you'll see the different funding sources associated with the project. I think everyone is more interested in that bridge funding. So we'll talk a little bit about the bridge funding and what that means to the city of Racine. So bridge funding in any scenario is a short-term financing to cover expenses until we secure longer-term financing. This would be a temporary financial bridge. I anticipate this bridge being 1 to 2 years tops. The final authorization of the bridge loan and the exact amount of the bridge loan will come back to Common Council and has to come back to Common Council once we have final capital stack, which I am anticipating sometime in the winter. Will come back to the Common Council. I actually anticipate it to be less than 21 million. And I will show you why in just a minute. Likely, we anticipate borrowing from the State Board of Commissioner of Public Lands. There's 2 reasons why. A, there's less financing costs for a very short-term borrowing, and B, they allow prepayments. And as you see from the next slide, if you can go ahead, we have multiple funding sources in place to cover this bridge financing. So this is what's really important for the alders in particular. And I apologize if it's a little bit hard to read, and obviously we'll attach this to the legislative item as well. But starting from the top, we have right now, we have a slot for another federally congressional directed spending of $8 million. Again, the reason we need the bridge funding though is because those dollars won't become available to the city of Racine until probably June of 2025. But those are set aside at this point for the city of Racine. Going down to the right in kind of the orangey box, you'll see IRA direct pay 2.2 million. So those are tax credits that we would get from the Inflation Reduction Act, but those won't come in until after the building has been constructed. So all of those solar panels you saw and all of the conversation of net zero, that's why this is so important in this space, especially in a community like the King Community Center, where it is a depressed neighborhood, and actually we could receive more credits than this because of where the location of the building is in a very economically depressed neighborhood. So I actually anticipate a little bit more than that, but this is a conservative slide in terms of what we are going to bring in. The We Energy is right below that, $200,000. That one actually we do have available to us, so that one is with us today. Focus on energy rebates. Again, this relates to that net zero building, and one of the reasons why it's so important to do that net zero. That's again, conservative estimate of 50,000. We'll know more as we get to the end of construction. We have a commitment from Ascension. So again, another partner in this of $1 million. Connington Courts, I'm going to say that wrong, I apologize, but basically that's the Bucks organization to help fund the basketball courts. So we're super excited about that. Fund for Lake Michigan, another grant that we have, and that is actually available to us right now. The Common Council did authorize general obligation bonds for this project a couple of years back. That's $3.5 million. And then I have a category for gifts and donations. Pam, if you could just go to the next slide, that'd be super. Thanks. There we go. So this slide just shows all of the different boxes that are committed or going to come in post-construction. So the only one that we're a little bit uncertain yet is donations and grants. And when I say uncertain, I mean, we're pretty sure we're gonna get them, and I'll get into what those are. So as we have gone through this process and done just belaboring, trying to find different donations and grants and sponsorships, we are now to the point where everyone's saying, you gotta build the building. You gotta give us an opportunity to see you're building the building. Call me when the building starts getting built. I'm happy to support, but call me when the building starts getting built. That's where we are right now. So that's where that 7 million is going to come from. We do already have some soft commitments from community partners, private, public, but they really need the building to start getting built as soon as possible for us to secure those. Next slide, Pam. So as of right now, we have 78% of the funding committed to the project, which actually is very impressive for a building and a construction project of this sort. There's another 10% that is extremely likely to come from new market tax credits, which the people behind me will talk about a little bit more. Just had a phone call today with our partners at Hope Capital associated with that. Those post-energy credits, which I talked about a little bit before, again, 4% of that pie. I think it's going to end up being a little bit more than that. And then future grants and donations. And let's talk about those a little bit. Thanks, Pam. So on the right-hand side, you'll see state federal grants. That very first grant, state DOA flexible facilities. Common Council authorized us to apply for this grant a couple of months ago. We actually just heard from DOA a couple of days ago. They are reviewing the application. I am darn certain we are actually going to receive that grant, but again, don't know yet, not in coffers yet, so we're being conservative in that space. The federal EPA Environmental and Climate Justice Grant, and this is where it's also very important in terms of the energy efficiency in this building and the location of the building in that part of our community. We fit perfect into this grant. We have just started writing for this grant, and that one's due in like November of 2024. So we're darn certain we're gonna get something out of that grant. I don't know that we'll get 10 million, but we are going to get something out of that grant. Adele in the IT department's also writing a digital equity grant. So things like the business area that they talked about today, that would fit in that grant. Not to mention just the fiber, the access points, and all of the things relating to this building that would fit under that grant. So those three we are cooking on right now. Again, as I discussed, we have another $4 million from 5 or 10 different private donors that we will be able to shore up in the next several months. So I intend on seeing a lot of action in this space in terms of more donations and more grants with final approval in the next couple of weeks here. So that is it for my part of the presentation. I'm going to introduce Pepper Construction to come up for a little bit here.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Just a quick intro slide on Pepper Construction. I'm Jake Pepper. For those that I haven't met yet, I've been involved in the project as Captain said since early 2003. We were here in May to work with Concord and push the project forward. A little bit of history. Last year we did just under $2 billion in revenue, and that is mostly throughout the Midwest. We do travel throughout the U.S., but we have offices in Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, and Wisconsin. I'd say Wisconsin is our newest office, technically up in Milwaukee. We just opened in Madison as well, but we have been working in Wisconsin for over 30 years. That border is very real, as we know, between Illinois and Wisconsin. So we were committed to this market, and we needed to have a full-time presence. So $1 billion bonding capacity, and then that last one, $5.1 billion of sustainable projects completed. A lot of that is any LEED certifications, which this project would entail as well. We also have a Pepper Energy entity, which would be doing a lot of the consulting on the geothermal work and then the installation and design of the solar arrays as well. That entity would also take us through the paperwork to get those tax credits via the Inflation Reduction Act. Just a couple quick slides on projects that we built. This was our largest to date. This is the Brookfield Mall in Brookfield, Wisconsin. It's actually a parking lot underneath that, so that whole thing is elevated. And then mixed use development, retail, and residential. Then here, Advocate Aurora Health Ortho Sports Rehab. This is a renovation of an existing medical office building, and this will fit perfectly into some of the design elements of the Lincoln King Center we're excited about. And then this is a hotel renovation, McKinn Guest House Hotel, historic renovation in downtown Milwaukee. And again, this just speaks to some of the spaces that we create for that. Real quickly, the planning is shovel ready. Smith Group has drawn a set of issue for construction drawings. We have budgeted those drawings. We're comfortable that we can complete this project on schedule and on budget. We need to go through city approvals, which is what we're here today for. And then an interesting thing is those ARPA funds, both city and federal or state, are being covered by the end of the year. So we are ready to go with a guaranteed maximum price contract to get executed before the end of the year so that those funds can be considered encumbered. We would like to look to do that very quickly if there is an approval tonight, and then groundbreaking in October of this year. You'll see it's a 20-month schedule. Part of that is starting in the fall and working through the winter and the beginning stages of the project. But we would target building complete in August of 26 and then occupied in the third quarter of 26 as well. Building complete would be that full building, but less furniture and pictures. So that would happen right afterwards. Creating construction jobs, we did commit to doing 100% union built project. That will help us with the new market tax credits. There are very few new market tax projects that can actually commit to 100% union labor. So we're ready to do that. We are in discussions and working through a project labor agreement with the Southeast Wisconsin Building Trades Association. So we are reviewing that contract. There's very few edits that we do need to make to it, but that would allow us to commit to that 100% and using only union subcontractors. It would also prevent any subcontractors or trades that are coming up for negotiated rates from striking on the project. So that's always a risk for a union contractor as a renegotiating contracts they can strike. A PLA would prevent that, which means we would have certainty in that construction schedule as well. 319,000 construction labor hours. So we do the math there, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that equates to 150 full-time jobs for folks during the construction of this facility. And then we're also committed to 20% participation by city residents through the Racing Wellness program. So that will be in partnership with everybody that you've heard from tonight, but also partnership with all of those subcontractors as well. So construction drawings are done. We are ready to go with the approval tonight. We'll get that guaranteed maximum price contract finalized. And we have committed to hold that pricing. We're still uncomfortably comfortable at the moment with the pricing, but that's our risk as a contractor. But if this project were to slide 6 months, we can't hold that price. So that is another reason that we're hoping for the approval tonight and to go. I mentioned the ARPA funds, they do need to be encumbered, which just contractually they don't have to spend, but they do have to be committed. So that would be that price by the end of the year. And then obviously the grants, donations, the pulling down of that bridge funding would be an important aspect of the construction. The only last thing I'd mention is the new market tax credits. Those are the last dollars in. So back to that bridge financing. The new market tax credits are provided by community development entities. We would be working with multiple. And if we got to a closing with those community development entities to commit new market tax credit to our project, but we didn't, and we have a $2 million gap in the cost of the project, they would not be able to give us those new market tax credits. So again, that's a critical piece of why we're asking financing today, because then those new market tax credits can actually be allocated to the project by those entities. And that's it for me. I'll expect it.
So just for next steps, I think I'll go through just next steps quickly, and then maybe we'll take public comments if that's okay with you. So next steps would be tonight, the resolution of official intent to support the King project, an authorization to enter into a master development agreement, and then the authorization to allocate city direct ARPA funds in support of the Lincoln King project. So that would be our next steps for tonight. At this point, before maybe we take questions, you want to do some public comment? Okay.
So, we'll have Kathleen to call out the people that sign up for public comments. We don't have the clock up here at the time because we're not in the chambers, but please keep your limit of 3 minutes will be fine.
Okay. Johnny Ford, 1435 Windsor Way.
Good evening. Based off what I saw and what I've seen, I work with a consultant, part of the community outreach, and lifetime resident of Racine, and a younger Johnny would have been mad at this because I was South Side. And I'm like, man, you know, they want to build this big, beautiful edifice on the north side, and it's some kickback. And the kickback is because people are not ready to change. We don't like change. I don't know what's so difficult about change when something is bigger and better. If you're offered a bigger automobile, bigger house, anything new, you want that. But for some reason, there's some kickback. But I just stood up to say, man, that this is a beautiful thing, and it's impossible for us not to get this. How can we not get this? You know, there's so many people, you know, I'm a lifelong resident, like I said, and there's so many people, and we always had discussions about the south side and north side. There's nothing on the north side. I remember years ago, they were trying to open up a Walmart, and they shut that down. It's like, they don't want nothing. But this isn't just for the north side of Racine. This is for the community. This is for the city. And so it like has to pass. You know, I'm 27 years in Unified, and I work on the north side, 19 years at Portland. This is my 3rd year at Jerstad. So I deal with a lot of kids on the north side of town. And this is going to benefit them. Anything that's a help, how can you turn down help? It's like, it's a buy-in. You don't have to put anything in it. It's here, it's made available. And Tom helped me the most. I was asking Tom, because in the beginning, I was wondering where this was coming from. And Tom said it was a situation during COVID. I think that's when it initially happened. And so people weren't coming out. How could you come out? You weren't coming to the center back then. Everybody was at home afraid of what's next. We didn't know what was next, but that's when it initially came out. And so a lot of people felt like they didn't get it, what was going on. Okay, but now it's here. It's been here, and it's made available. You know, I just celebrated 15 years. Let's say this, I'm gonna sit down. Marital bliss of my wife last week, Wednesday. And some things in life are sentimental. She was divorced, I was divorced. We came together. We brought all our stuff together. Some stuff she brought was sentimental. Some stuff I brought was sentimental. It really didn't have no place in the new home because we came together and it became one house, right? So after a while, we moved a couple of times, and now I'm seeing that this thing that was sentimental, it really is no place. But for you to get something new, you have to let go of things that's old. So I just want to say that in sitting down. So we just have to let go of the old mindset. This is something new. It's a positive. It is a plus in every way. So I'm just saying I'm all for it. Thank you.
Brian O'Connell, Racine Unified Board.
So, I'm Brian O'Connell. Some of you may recognize me. I used to work in this building a few years ago. But now I'm with Unified, and I'm here to say Unified supports this idea, this concept, and has for years. When this concept first emerged, we said this would be a perfect pairing with Julian Thomas. And that endorsement back then still exists. And I just wanted to come tonight to reinforce that. It is great to see the concept reach this point where it's about to be implemented. I really do not have more to say than that, except that it can't happen soon enough. So, I guess one footnote, when I did work in this building, I was with city development when the building that was on the site was taken down. And I am personally delighted to see something going on that property. It'll be such a boost for the Lincoln King neighborhood. If I have one concern, it's that this will upstage, Julian Thomas. We can live with.
Danny Decker, 2827, 5.5 miles.
Hi, I'm Danny Decker. I'm the principal at Julian Thomas. And Brian, it will only enhance Julian. Daddy, I wanted to speak also, we are closer to the 600 mark of students now versus 500. So more students to go ahead and support the families. I wrote a little something up that I want to read to you all based off of, I believe, speaking from the community, the Julian Thomas community, students, staff, and our families. A strong partnership between the community and the school is essential for fostering and supportive and nurturing environment for students and residents alike. Julian Thomas will begin its 6th year as a community school. Community schools increase opportunities for children to succeed in school by adding the kinds of resources known to make a difference. Increased parental involvement, children's education, extra learning opportunities through educational enrichment, consistent access to adult guidance and support, and ready access to physical, dental, and mental health services. The new King Center will serve as a hub for collaboration, providing a space for educational programs, recreational activities, and community events. It will benefit the community by enhancing access to resources, promoting social connections, and addressing the community's needs. This center is needed to create a shared space where people can come together, learn, and grow, ultimately strengthening the bonds within the community and supporting their overall well-being of all of its members.
Those are the only people I have signed up for public comment at this time. Are there others that would like to speak on this topic maybe before we start questions?
I like this.
Absolutely. Can you just give me your name and address?
Darren Taylor, 3800 St. Clair Street. Again, I'm Darren Taylor. I work for Racine County, and I'm a lifelong resident of Racine, and I grew up in community centers. And I think that one of the things you hear our youth talk about is that there's not enough to do. And I think this would bring them more to do. And what has been said, this will be a city thing, not just a north side thing. And often you hear things where you hear kids say, well, I can't go this side of town or this side of town. I'm hoping that this will bridge that gap. And when you think about what the drugs are doing to our community right now, and some of this is not really being addressed, I'm hoping this would also help that. Thank you.
Oh, I know we've had a lot of parts of the presentation. I want to thank everybody that presented today, all the consultant groups and all of the production groups. So at this time, as we will open the floor for discussion on this item. Alderman Carr.
Mr. Chairman, who are Lincoln King Community Center Development Partners? They haven't been here to say anything at this point.
That is a very good question. I will actually have Pepper answer that if you would like to. Is that okay?
I can say that is okay. You want me to go to the podium? So Lincoln King Community Development Center Partner LLC is a wholly owned subsidiary of Pepper. When we got pulled into this job or this project, as we responded to that RFQ, it was for both development and construction capabilities. So we responded, we were selected, and that has put us into two roles. Concord is advising the city, but they're helping us navigate and put this project together as well. So we have myself and another colleague of mine, Pat Aylward, that are focused on the development side. And that core focus has been getting the market tax credits for the project. They are really complicated. They're very difficult to go achieve. So that's what we're doing. And then what essentially would happen is Lincoln King Community Center Development Partners would write a guaranteed maximum price contract to the construction. So we do this as a public-private partnership, a P3. We are wearing both the developer hat and a contractor hat, and then working with the city as that.
So this engagement for the construction portion of your organization, though, correct? I mean, or.
The engagement is.
We are being asked to sign an agreement with.
Yeah, with
this entity.
with that wholly owned subsidiary, and I guess there's a holding company, the Pepper Companies, that's our, everything we do. There's a Pepper Construction Wisconsin company, that's what is focused on Wisconsin. And then Lincoln King Community Centers is a new entity that we formed specifically for this project. So the idea is that we will coordinate all the funding, the capital stack, and some lawyers and paperwork. Ultimately, the project would transition in ownership. We would be a fee developer. The project will be owned by the city of Racine at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, good.
No one else has any. Efficient donations, et cetera, don't come in. The city taxpayers are on the hook for what's up to that point.
Yes, at that point, technically, the city would be quote unquote on the hook. General obligation bonds in that way. Again, all authorization associated with that will come back to the common council. So this resolution tonight is a resolution of intent to support the project itself. At the point where we know more specificity on what we may or may not have to borrow, again, I think it's going to be less than 21 million. All of these things will start shoring up a little bit closer to the end of the year. But it is extremely important, both from, as we said, the encumbrance of the ARPA funds before the end of the year, both the state grant as well as our direct ARPA funds, both have to be encumbered before the end of the year. That we really get started with this project.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So if out of that obligation we have. Out of that obligation that we potentially have here. Again, it'll be. A general obligation then where we are obligated by name here. Leave it for a minute here, actually, then I'm gonna reframe the question for me.
Anybody else in this item?
Thank you. This question would be for, Dottie. What if, you mentioned the, infant mortality rate. Can you speak to more of how the clinic will help with, women's health?
Sure. So, they'll be looking, as I mentioned, it's a collective response from dental, mental, and medical. So as individuals come in, as you know, well, it's infant mortality, stress is related to the mental health services there. They'll have medical services there, so prenatal care. But at some point, even before the pregnancy, we can be talking to individuals about planning pregnancy. We can talk about individuals who don't want to get pregnant. So we'll be able to have that part of the service as well. And then dental affects all sorts of, functions within the body, parts of pregnancy as well. So we'll be able to look at the person as a whole versus just here and then here and here where we get the first two. Make sense?
All right. Okay, then we'll get, I'll go here. Okay.
I'm not quite sure who this question should be directed to, but with the relationship that we have with Filler, I guess my question is, as far as, with management and reimbursement, like what does that contract look like directly as we're working with them? Is it, they're just running the show and we're just facilitating it? I guess that's where my questions are.
Probably be best for Dottie.
So again, Pillar Health, they're one of 4 locations in Kenosha, where the Racine Kenosha Community Health. They are an FQHC.
Yeah.
So they will be extending and become a satellite here. They're currently in the process for applying for a new point of access grant. Within the framework of that grant, they want capital expenditure money and they want operating money that they will get at an annual basis. So those are the funds that will be utilized for the clinic itself. With that, the operations will be under the board of directors. Recipients will have spots on that board of directors. 51% of that board needs to be made up patient basis. And then they've got other parameters as far as in hospital, medical, individuals that can sit on that board as well. But part of the component of that will be received. Thank you.
All I have, what I didn't finish before, we're obligating ourselves to potentially $21 million here. Partially to obtain the new market tax credits.
Yes.
Where are we actually obligated at this point? We said, yeah, we're gonna do it, but we haven't signed any
Correct.
sheets of paper that says this money is going out. So
Correct.
help me understand.
So you have not. So this is sort of the silver standard of resolution, if you will. That's what we talk through with the new markets folks. So what the new market folks want to see is the city of Racine supports this project. And the city of Racine is willing to put in as much as $21 million to support the new market tax credits, okay? Now, how we get that $21 million from the city of Racine perspective makes no difference to the new market people. They just want to make sure that the city of Racine supports the project and would be willing to put in $21 million. Again, many of these revenue sources are already here. So I do not think it'll be a $21 million borrowing. One of the larger pieces, the congressionally directed spending, which I cannot say for the life of me, again, that is not going to come till 25. And we know that for sure, right? So that's why we need this bridge funding. But really, you are absolutely right. You are not signing for a bond today. That is not what you're doing. You are giving the official intent to support the project. This is very similar to how Kenosha did theirs when they did their new market process. I will come back in the winter to talk more about specifics.
That resolution is sufficient for Pepper to carry on with what they need to do.
Yep, and I think the other kind of aspect of this is the bond would need to be issued right before the new market tax credits come in. And so that would be anywhere between January and March. If you take conference in the fall where all of those community development entities take their breath. We've been marketing this project to the CDs for a year now. Everybody's very excited about it, not just in Wisconsin, but nationally. So, but in order for them to commit those $7 million in market tax credits, the bond would have to be issued.
So even though that money is some of the less money coming in, we will be discussing this again early next year.
Yes. Yeah, late this year, early next year.
Yeah, yes,
I think maybe for Daddy K, you mentioned capital investment by pillar. I didn't see their name on here anywhere. You help me understand that?
Yeah, so I said here to, they're applying for a new access point grant. It's a federal grant. They already, that's what started, their, process or their facility, their services over in Kenosha. All the, FQHCs, in the state of Wisconsin across the country generally start with donations, and as they progress as a lookalike, or a satellite, then they progress to, this grant. And so it's $650,000 a year on an annual basis. Now with overhead and operating expenses. They have the availability for $250, but generally speaking, that goes to supplies, equipment, specialty items that they need for inside the clinic.
You specifically said capital earlier on.
Yeah. And
It's operational.
Yep.
There is no capital investment by pillar in this. It is all operational investment.
No, I would imagine at this point it's all operational, but at the same point, I can't say 100% on that.
Thank you.
All right, I'd just like to say, I want to thank everybody for coming today, but I also think this is a project that we often talk about, let's hear from our constituents, let's hear from the people in the community. I think that the community has spoken tonight. There have been a lot of people coming here tonight that don't even live on the north side, live on the south side, or wherever they might live. And I think this is something that instead of going to the community center, seeing the kids on the outside of the community center, this is something that will bring kids to the inside of the community center, something that we're saying to be proud of. Yes, it sounds, listen to the funding. I know that's always an issue of how we get here and what do we do. But I've been on the council for a little bit to hear that we need shovels in the ground. And so far it has been happening. And I know a lot of it hasn't been happening without a cost. So I was trying to get the money together, but the support from the paying consultant, a lot of times we don't reach those people. And so we make decisions here at this table in these committees about moving forward. And I think we've done a great job in having, hearing from, a lot of people coming to say this is what they want for their community. So I would be in support of that. And, if we don't have any more discussion, I would like to, make a motion to, approve item 00683-24. Do I have a second? Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Motion carried. Thank you all.
Anyone need a bathroom? There's a question. Go by itself. I attached this, right? Yeah. I already have a good copy. I got it for the
Yeah.
Beats you.
There we go. Okay, next item, number 0681-24, communication sponsored by Mayor Mason on behalf of the Finance Director requesting permission to reallocate the city's direct ARPA funds between previously authorized programs to ensure compliance with federal grant requirements. Staff recommendation that the Finance Director be authorized to reallocate $8,109,086 of city direct ARPA funds from previously authorized programs to other programs that have been authorized by the Common Council and Treasury to ensure compliance with the Department of Treasury grant requirements. Fiscal note, $8,109,086 will be allocated among various projects that were previously authorized by the Common Council and have been approved by the Department of Treasury as listed on the attached agenda briefing memo. Quickly going to bring up that agenda briefing memo for the crowd just to see what we're talking about here. So very quick history of the city's ARPA funds. The city was allocated $46+ million from the federal government directly. It's why I'm calling it our direct ARPA funds, to be used for various programs. The Common Council authorized those funds be spent under various programs under the city of Racine. You'll see I handed this out. This is the status update that I generally give to the Common Council quarterly relating to the ARPA funds. These are the programs that I'm referring to when I talk about already identified programs. These programs are also authorized by the Treasury already and part of our quarterly Treasury reporting requirements, okay? So what we're asking for here is to move $8 million for the primary of this, $8 million of unspent ARPA funds and uncommitted ARPA funds. These are not committed to any individual project as of today. And to be clear one more time, these funds have to be fully encumbered by 12/31 of 2024, or we send them back to the federal government, okay? So we are asking to allocate $8 million to the Lincoln King Community Center project for a total of $18 million, of which is the number that you saw in my previous presentation. And then a few ins and outs to from different categories. So where are we taking this from? What was the initial allocation that the Common Council had authorized way back? The majority of this is coming from two different categories, mostly in the housing area. So when the Common Council first did their authorization, they put about $6.2 million into a housing revitalization category. And that was before we were awarded $15 million from the state of Wisconsin for a neighborhood investment grant. So we are using some of that, about $2.9 million, to match that neighborhood investment grant and to use for other housing potentially in the community. But we do not need all of what the council initially allocated, nor again, to say again, it is not committed to any other project nor encumbered to any other vendor. So this is just funds that are available. Having said that as well, standing up any sort of program at this point with any sort of vendor in the housing space would be almost impossible before the end of the year, unless we were at this level of drawings already, which does not exist. So we also had, the Common Council had also allocated for a home buyer down payment assistance program. We do have that program. We just have it only for city employees. I think it was imagined to potentially be citywide. That was just something that was very difficult to get off the ground and just didn't really get off the ground, didn't materialize the way perhaps we had thought. A lot of these other areas were just areas where we just didn't spend as much as we thought we were going to spend. So even the youth jobs, we are still doing that program, and there'll be $1 million left in that program, and that will be fully encumbered by the end of 24. Anything you see here, the majority of these are already fully encumbered. So they will be encumbered by the end of 24 to be used in 25 and 26. So the federal law reads, if it is encumbered by the end of 24, you can expend it or use it in 25 and through 9/30 of 2026, okay? So we're still doing some of these programs. They just didn't need as much as what the council had
anticipated back in 2021, which obviously was quite a while ago. You know, some of the more minor areas, the grant writer area, we have our grant writer, who is actually contracted, is absolutely amazing and has gotten well over $50 million for the city of Racine. Every grant I've talked about is because she wrote it. She's amazing. So we will continue her services in 2025 and 2026. But this is really the big piece here. Questions?
Any discussion on that? Nope. Oh,
I just want to be sure we had visibility into where we're decreasing, and I'm
Mhm.
sure one that's near and dear to the mayor might be sustainability, which is basically being eliminated on here, but I'm sure you can rationalize that with this being a lead building.
Yes, I mean, really, it's incorporated in the building itself.
any other questions? Yes, Audrey.
Yeah, thank you. Does the funding that is presented right there, there was $500,000 awarded in July of 2022 that was supposed to go to the housing resource. And also what it is attached to the finance empowerment. It was a 3-year part of the ARPA dollars that totaled roughly $500,000 that has not been paid out yet. Is that what I'm seeing? Is that part of one of those line items?
So I want to make sure that we segregate the two different things. There were actually 2 authorizations for HRI, Housing Resource. One was for down payment assistance and attempting to lift up a program for down payment assistance. That contract has expired with HRI and that program is not happening. The other contract with HRI is for the Financial Empowerment Center. That is an active contract. They are a great partner of ours in the FEC space, and they are being paid regularly through that funding source. So there are funds available. So if you see financial empowerment here, that relates to our contract with HRI for the Financial Empowerment Center.
So maybe just for clarity's sake of how the agenda item was written back in 2022, maybe we're talking about 2 separate things. So if you can just help me. It was a 3 years for the home buyer assistance for counseling and administration of the down payment assistance. Are we speaking on the same item?
Yes, just not FEC.
That, right, that was $442,883. Also awarded on August, 1 month later, was $150,000 for the financial empowerment. So that's the separate.
That's separate.
And so are we satisfying our 3-year spend out, an obligation that the council had awarded back in July of 2022? Is that still going to be satisfied? Because it was supposed to be broken up into a 3-year period, and as of today, they have not received any dollars for that.
So there is no program. There was never a program stood up in that space. I believe there was imagined that a program would be stood up in that space. That has not occurred and their contract has expired. We have not been invoiced for anything associated with that program. So that is, I apologize. Whoopsie.
Top right there. Yeah.
Right here.
I think so.
So from my understanding, they have set up a program and they already hired staff to work through that program. So, you know, I'm under a completely different assumption than what is being presented this evening. I would like to have that looked into because that's a huge portion of that being, that's a $500,000.
Well, can answer a little bit better on that as into the program.
Yes, and again, excellent question. That contract did expire in June of this year. We are aware that HRI did expend $33,000 of those funds, and they have not presented us an invoice for those funds for hiring of that person at this time.
Where did we get the 33,000 from? You said that they have expended 33,000. Where did that come from? They invoiced the city for that?
They have not invoiced, but
So
we
how do
know
we know that they only expended 33,000?
that's what we were told. At the
It's
time,
by
but
them?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just for clarity's sake, this shows 23 million total. This is only the programs that are affected by the reallocation of funds, correct? There's other
Yes.
programs out there.
There are other programs out
That's why I
there.
have funding up
you said?
Yes, correct. And the kind of bigger
Yes.
spreadsheet here will give you the whole synopsis of all of the programs, but I didn't want to make it any longer than it already is.
Anybody else? I would like to entertain a motion on this item.
Second.
All right, it's been motioned by Alder Sebastian and second by Alder McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Motion carried. Next item.
Item number 0669-24, communication sponsored by Alder Horton on behalf of the Public Health Department, requesting permission to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the City of Racine Public Health Department and the Kenosha County Department of Human Services, Division of Public Health, in support of the grant application of the HUD Lead Hazard Reduction Demonstration Grant. Staff recommendation that the Public Health Department be authorized to enter into the MOU with the Kenosha County Department of Human Services, Division of Public Health for HUD Lead Hazard Reduction Demonstration Grant. Fiscal note match funding is provided in the form of personnel time spent on lead risk assessment and other grant activities. Director Bowersox is here to speak on the item. Get punchy.
That's pretty good. Well, thank you very much, Jen. So this is a continuation of grant projects that we've had since 2006 with Kenosha, as a matter of fact. It is the Kenosha Racine Lead-Free Communities Partnership. The MOU is $40,000 of in-kind. No problem for us to be able to accumulate over a 4-year time of the grant. As a matter of fact, we're just ending up the current grant, and we had almost $100,000 of in-kind match. So I have no problem with the idea that we have to accumulate $40,000. At the same point, within this, it's for the assessment and abatement of houses in the city of Kenosha. This last grant period, we did 100 houses. The average on each house is anywhere between $20,000 and $25,000, and it's been a great partnership. Most of the time, we're replacing windows, window wells, any friction points within the homes, and it's done very well. So again, I would ask the continuation of the end.
Another time.
Here's a quick question then. So this is to, in essence, share a grant with the and grant amount overall.
Yes, currently, the grant that just ended was $3.5 million. We are asking this next round, $5 million.
I'll entertain a motion. For this item.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. It's been motioned by Alder McCarthy, second by Alder Land. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Motion carried. Next item.
Item number 0585-24, communication sponsored by Alder Horton on behalf of the Superintendent of Recreation and Cultural Services, requesting a $400 retention bonus for all 2024 lifeguards and lifeguard supervisors to be applied on their last check if continued employment through August 11, 2024. Staff recommendation that the Superintendent of Recreation and Cultural Services be granted permission to apply or you want me to go slower, a $400 retention bonus for all 2024 lifeguards and lifeguard supervisors on their last check. If continued employment through August 11, 2024 be approved, fiscal note, approximately 26 lifeguard workers costing roughly $10,400 funded by recreation part-time salaries account budgeted in 2024.
Thank you. I just wanted to talk real quickly about our lifeguards, one of our most important positions in our department. Basically, the safety of North Beach and Zoo Beach, with the high numbers we have, we feel that these positions that we have, we're under a lot of stress 7 days a week, guarding both those. In 2023, we offered a $400 bonus to help with recruitment in Racine County, as we were all kind of going after the same amount of lifeguards. So when we did that, we were able to have the bonus and bring in the lifeguards this year to actually have a record number of lifeguards. And actually, for the first time in many years, we were able to supervise both North Beach and Zoo Beach 7 days a week for the first time in over 10 years. One of the things we did in last year, we did budget for the money in the recreation part-time salaries, but in the original 2023, the ongoing out of it, talked with Lanika Horton
who was in support of this. So this is why it's coming in late. But our lifeguards have made multiple saves this year, including 2 last week in unprotected areas. And they're being honored this Wednesday by the Racine Fire Department, Deputy Chief Wolf at 9:15 at North Beach. So this program is very important to us. This program in the last 3 years has become, Milwaukee has come to us at Kenosha, who cannot fill the beaches with lifeguards. So we are hoping that with that $400 retention bonus, which really helps with recruitment and retention of these lifeguards, having a record number this year, hopefully going into next year and keeping our beaches safe and Racine is a top priority for us. So I'm asking for support with this item.
Discussion on item. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
So we've a few years ago had some drownings and really made a concerted effort to make sure that Zoo Beach and North Beach were guarded. And I will say we've actually had lifeguards save several people this year. It's a really important job and they do really great work keeping our beaches safe. So I hope we'll support the item. It's been critical to recruit these people and get them to come back. So I hope people will be supportive.
It's wild to me that no one wants to be a lifeguard anymore. Remember when we were young, it was like the coolest job to be a lifeguard, and I can't get anyone to do it. But thank you. That's all.
Next time, entertain motion.
Move to approve.
All right, it's been moved by Alderman McCarthy and second by Alderman Lane. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposes, motion carried.
Think we skip down to 0695-24. Communication sponsored by Alderman McCarthy on behalf of the Racine Waterworks Utility Director, requesting a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of up to $19,675,190 of Waterworks System Revenue Bond Series 2024 and providing for other details and covenants with respect thereto. Recommendation of Waterworks is to approve with a referral to Finance and Personnel. Staff recommendation that the Racine Waterworks Utility Director request for a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of up to $19,675,190 Waterworks System Revenue Bond Series 2024, providing other details and covenants with respect thereto be approved. Fiscal note, financial assistance agreement funded through safe drinking water loan program in the amount of $19,675,190 with a term of 20 years at a 2.365 interest rate. Director Phillips.
Good evening. Thank you for having me talk to you this evening. As you'll notice, I'm the wastewater director at Waterworks. We currently have a vacancy that's about to be filled in about a week, but we have to move this item forward. So this item is basically state revolving fund loan for state drinking water fund for the water plant. This is for the filter projects. I'm a little bit out of my realm here, and I'll try to give a quick synopsis here. So the Waterworks plant has a filter plant where they're filtering our water. It was constructed in 3 stages. We need construction and some upgrades on it. And the cost of this is somewhere around the ballpark of 20 million. And that's what we're getting here from the state revolving funds. So this item is just to, so it's already passed the Waterworks. So this item comes here because the city ultimately backs those loans for approval from finance and personnel. And then
any discussion on item?
Really a discussion as much with Kathleen, and you could distinguish for the rest of the committee and anybody else interested in their obligation balance versus revenue bonds.
Absolutely. So in this space, these would be revenue bonds, meaning that the payback of these bonds would be from the user fees of the utility, basically the water rates themselves. I believe this one probably came for a reimbursement resolution from us earlier in the year as well. So normally you see these twice.
Any other stuff? This time I entertain a motion. All right, we have a motion by Alderman McCarthy and second by Alderman Sebastian. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item.
Item number 0553-4. Communication sponsored by Alder Pro on behalf of the Department of City Development requesting the transfer of properties addressed as 1001 10th Street, 61011. 1013 12th, 812 12th, 410 12th, 1309 Grand, 1212 Highland, 1143 Villa, 1021 Villa, and 1008 Villa Street from the County of Racine to the City of Racine. The properties will be transferred to the Racine Revitalization Partnership for redevelopment. Staff recommendation that the receipt of properties addressed above from Racine County to the City of Racine be approved and that the properties be transferred to Racine Revitalization Partnership for redevelopment. Fiscal note, RRP, Racine Revitalization Partnership, will reimburse the city for title transfer, recording, or any other applicable fees estimated at approximately $30 per property. Director Williams is here to speak on the item.
This is a really exciting project for us. We get an opportunity to renovate 10 homes in the Tower View area. Racine Revitalization Partnership will sell these homes to low to moderate income individuals when they are completed. And please be advised that there will be no city dollars involved in the renovation of these homes. So it's a win-win for everyone around.
Any discussion on the item?
Are we satisfied that RRP has the capacity to do this and that we will be satisfied with the quality of their work?
That's an excellent question, Alderman McCartney. Yes, since January of this year, they have improved their operations. As you are aware, they dedicated 2 homes or ribbon cutting for 2 homes this past week, well attended. And it is my understanding that those homes have been sold. So yes, we are very comfortable with RRP at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on that item? Great. I will entertain the motion. This item here.
Move to approve.
All right. It's been moved by Alderman Land and second by Alderman Sebastian. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Next item.
Item number 0646-24, communication sponsored by Alder Horton on behalf of the City Attorney's Office, submitting a claim of Progressive Subrogation Artesian and Truckers Casualty Company on behalf of its insured Scott D. Ostrowski for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed. I don't know why your title always gets me.
Thank you. So Progressive Subrogation Artisan and Truckers Casualty Company on behalf of its insured Scott Ostrowski, claiming reimbursement in the amount of $2,208.87 in damages allegedly arising from an auto collision with a City of Racine solid waste truck near Shoreland Drive and 10th Street back on January 23rd, 2024. We dispute the city's liability for the claim damages, so we're recommending disallowance.
Discussion on that. I'll make a motion to disallow item 0624 item 0646-24.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by the chair and second by Alderman McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carried. Next item.
0647-24, communication sponsored by Alder Horton on behalf of the City Attorney's Office, submitting the claim of Carlos Sanchez for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed.
Carlos Sanchez is claiming reimbursement in the amount of $216,852.67 for water damage at an investment property he recently purchased located at 1625 Edgewood Avenue in Racine. That he's alleging was caused by the Racine water utility on or about April 17th, 2024. Basically, in 2022, a pipe burst on the second floor of this private property and flooded the property with water for an unknown period of time. When they discovered it, they went in to shut it off the water to the house because it was leaking out of the pipe. And there was no handle on the shutoff valve to the water supply inside the property. So they asked utility workers to turn off the water to the property at the curb stop. And that was back on December 27, 2022. And then the property sat vacant until the claimant Carlos Sanchez purchased it on April 11th of this year. And then on April 16th, the water utility was sent out to change the water meter, and after doing so, the utility workers just turned the water back on at the property. They got a call from the claimant the next day reporting that there were leaks at the property because apparently the busted pipe had never been repaired, nor had the internal shutoff valve inside the property ever been replaced. So they turned the water off promptly at the curb stop. The city alleges that the damages that were done actually occurred in 2022 as a result of the burst pipe that was running for an unknown period of time, but caused significant damage. Not in this latest incident, a brief period in April of this year. So at the least, we dispute the liability for the claim damages, and we are recommending disallowance of this claim.
In discussion on the item. I would make a motion.
Darwin.
I would make a motion to disallow this item.
Okay.
It's been moved by the chair, second by Alderman McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposes? Motion carried. Next item.
Item number 0648-24, communications sponsored by Alder Horton on behalf of the city attorney's office submitting the claim of Sean Q. Biles for consideration for disallowance. Staff recommendation that the claim be disallowed.
Thank you. Michonne Biles filed a claim with the city requesting $2,700 for damages allegedly arising from his vehicle being struck by a fallen tree while it was parked outside of 1628 Grove Avenue in Racine back on May 21st of this year. The city had no prior notice of a defect in the tree in question, so the city didn't have a ministerial duty to service the tree. And by law, the city is immune from liability, so we are recommending that this claim be disallowed.
Discussion on the item. Entertain a motion.
Move to disallow.
Second.
All right. It's been moved by Alderland and second by Alder Sebastian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Motion carried. Thank you.
So we'll read closed session, roll call vote, and then we'll go to closed session. It's intended that the Finance and Personnel Committee will convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19851G to discuss strategy for litigation in which the city of Racine is or is likely to be involved.
Entertain a motion going to closed session.
Second.
All right. Can I get a second?
Say.
I'd like to speak against the motion, actually. This is simply responding to a publicly known ruling from a judge. We need to act upon this one, and it's perfectly normal to develop their agreement at this point. I think moving into closed session only serve to ignite the conspiracy theories. I think we should just deal with this in open session. Right. So I think I get this motion. Bill, take a roll call.
Oh, roll call.
Who motioned in second?
Land motion, second Davis.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder Davis,
Aye.
Alder Land,
Aye.
Alder McCarthy,
No.
Alder Sebastian.
Aye.
That completes roll call to go into closed session. For. Yeah,
Yep.
okay. All right.
I thought first thing.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, oh my God.